All right, welcome back to Cricket for Americans. Nick here.
Gabe, the Night Watchman.
And me and Gabe are here back together. He's a very, very busy man, so I've been dropping some solo reactions. And I'm just saying, the last one, 4,000 views. Take that, Gabe. But Gabe, he's got a few minutes here. Tell the people, what are we here to talk about?
Well, you know what? In light of the second test beginning between West Indies and Bangladesh, we wanted to review that first test between them, and just saying it was such a historic victory. You know, such a big chase, 395, a maiden double century, right? A maiden double century. And I mean, there's so many things to talk about that we'll talk about in this video. But most importantly, just the culture. You see the culture of the test team that instead of they walk in expecting to lose, you know what I mean? They're expecting to win. And you know, this first test, 409, that first over. That first innings, and they've already got 4 wickets in the second. In the second day, right? They got 4 wickets yesterday, so they're on pace to go ahead and win this one as well. Not jumping ahead of myself, but just saying, you know what I mean?
It's looking really good, yes.
Yeah, sometimes just winning cures all. So I'm so excited to talk about this, guys. You guys know I mentioned a long time ago, I'm from the Caribbean. My mom is Dominican, my dad's Puerto Rican. And, you know, our side of the Caribbean, we play baseball, but regardless, you know what I mean? That's kindred spirits, you know what I mean? So I was so excited with my West Indies. That was the first part of Cricket Apparel. I got my West Indies hat. And yeah, let's talk about this game, Nick. You know, since we're not going to do our 3 wickets because we didn't watch the entire match. We both seen the highlight packages on it, obviously. But, you know, I'm going to say I could drive by here on Campbell. Just saying he got out on 3 runs in that first inning, but I'm not gonna do so. This is
I didn't catch that. What was that?
This is a strictly positive video. So Nick, give me some of your thoughts, brother.
All right, so yeah, it's very unorthodox for us to do something a few days late, especially a few days after the other match started. But we really want to talk about this, and it's been really, really crazy. So thanks for tuning in. Listen, this is how it is, all right? West Indies, they were struggling, right? They were reeling after that beatdown by New Zealand. And with the whole WTC, and I'm sure they've had test seasons in the past, but with the whole WTC and the points table and the season the way it is, things weren't looking too good for West Indies. I believe before this series with Bangladesh, they had 1 win in their previous 5 or 6 matches. And they had some bad losses because New Zealand was like I said, they stomped on them and whatnot. So this was, in my opinion, a huge victory because of, if you're a West Indies fan, you're wondering, where are we at right now? Are we just a really bad squad? Are we an underachieving squad? Where are we at? Because we won 1 match against England in England. That was a pretty big deal. And then since then, they lost, I think, 5 in a row or something like that. So it was huge in that regard. But the story starts and ends, for the most part, with that huge debut by Myers and by Bonner, right? And Bonner's still doing his thing over in the first innings of the second match. But you have those guys combining with nearly 300 runs when you have a chase of 395, I believe, all in the 5th day. I mean, that's the story of the tape, right? That's the tail of the tape right there. That's the story. And when you have those debutantes for West Indies, and we're talking about just the batsman side, you sit there as a West Indies fan and say, all right, I can see the future. I can see where we're heading. I can see hope. I can see a chance where we can, put some points, put some runs on some guys. And that to me was the biggest thing, because Myers, he could have gotten out 1, twice, thrice times, 2 on a bad review that was not called by Bangladesh, and another one on a very, very, I think it was a drop or something like that. Yeah. He could have gotten out early to where we're talking about, not really anything of note. Right. But then he hit that half century and then that century, and then he was just off to the races. But those guys, literally, in my opinion, I'm a dramatic guy. I love movies. These guys, in my opinion, they picked up the West Indies squad. They picked up the fans. They said, we're not going down like that again. We're going to put up a fight. And man, did they put up a fight. And that's what I was most impressed with.
You know, I tell you what, I think I took it personally after that one New Zealand beatdown. Not so much because it was Kane Williamson putting up huge numbers when I said he didn't belong in a Fab Four or whatever, but because I started seeing some comments right on Twitter or whatever, and they're like, oh, that's all right. West Indies is still good at T20, and they're got a fair ODI squad, but they're just they're not a test team, and so somebody was like clowning like, oh, they're back to their Calypso days. What? You better watch your mouth, cousin. Ain't nothing sweet over here. And I mean, that was like, you take it personal. You know what I mean? Like, don't, you know what I mean? Like if for those of you that know what I'm talking about, in the documentary, right? Is it Fire in Babylon? I believe it is, where the West Indies players took offense to the fact that people were calling them Calypso, like, you know what I mean? You guys are just like, Mickey Mouse, you're just a fake test team. It's fun to play, you guys. You guys are all, but you guys aren't coming to compete. You guys aren't coming to bang. And they're like, oh, we'll show you Calypso. And I think that's what this was. That was that moment. Like, listen, we may not be the best test team in the world, but I'm gonna tell you right now, you're not gonna come in here and disrespect us, and we're gonna come in bang, and that's what you want. You want to see that fight in the team. Where am I saying that the West Indies is gonna be, jump or vault to the number one team, in a test standings? Are they gonna be that wrecking ball that they were in the 70s, 80s? No. But what I'm saying is that this is a start where you can start, showing teams you're going to respect us when you come into play. And I think that this second performance is even more important than the first performance, because it's showing people, listen, it ain't a fluke, cousin. You're going to come in here and you better bang. You better bang. And we've had the talent, man. We've had the talent. Shannon Gabriel, let's talk about some of the guys' individual performances. Everybody's going to talk about Bonner. All right, cool. Bonner, like you said, he's doing this thing not just in that test match, in the first test match, but in the second test match. Everyone is talked about, of course, and rightfully so, Myers' double century. But Kareem Roach, okay? Kareem Roach had an economy of 3 in that first inning in the test match. Got himself a wicket. I've told you, I love Shannon Gabriel. 265 economy rate. Got himself a wicket. If this guy could just stay healthy, Nick, oh my gosh. Of course, subcontinent pitch, right? Bangladesh. Rakeem Cronwell, 42 overs, bro. I repeat, 42 overs, 269 economy rate. Oh, and 2 wickets to boot. And then you've got Warwick, right? Jamel Warwick. 48 overs, Nick, 133 runs, a little pricey, but still economy rate below 3, 4 wickets, four wickets. So guys are doing their jobs. And again, if you're just able to put forth a gutty performance, you're going to be able to go in and win some of these test matches, draw some of these test matches out, but you're not going to go 4, like you said, 4 test matches in a row, 5 test matches in a row where they had gotten beat down after that win in England.
Dude, Warwick, this guy's a warrior, for crying out loud. He had 7 wickets, I believe, in the both innings of that match there. And like you said, 48 overs. They said, just set him out again. Just set him. My arm's going to fall off. No, it's not. You're a spinner. I'm assuming he's a spinner because he went 48 overs. Don't kill me if he's not. Set him out again and and he had a low economy rate of under 3, for crying out loud, for 48 overs. This guy was a stud on the bowling side. Cornwall, like you mentioned, he had 5 total wickets in there. The funny thing is, in the first innings, Myers, he throws himself 7 overs, right? As a bowler. He gets 2 maidens, low economy rate. They're like, oh, this guy's, he can do it from all fashions. And then they sent him out in the second innings, 1 over, 11 runs. Never mind. We're gonna cut back on that experiment. But I'm telling you, the future is bright for the West Indies. It really, really is. I don't know this Warwick guy, but the guy showed up in this first test match. We didn't know about
left-handed spinner, left-handed orthodox.
I got one right. But you're talking about guys like Bonner, and you're talking about Myers. Don't forget about Brathwaite. Don't forget about Blackwood. I mean, all these guys, they have the ability. And yes, not to knock on them. John Campbell, I mean, his days have got to be numbered. He's really got to show something, because when you have other guys, these debutantes that are scoring big, and now you got guys or openers or whatever, like in the second match, you really got to show, I belong to be here too, because we might be doing something. Now, Let me say something about Bangladesh. I did not realize this until I did some research before this video. Oddly enough, I know I did some research. These guys have not played too many matches. And maybe it's because of COVID. 2020, the only team they ever played, and I think in any format, was Zimbabwe. So I think they were being very, very cautious with COVID, or maybe there were some other things I'm not aware of, but they have not played too many matches. And so if you're on the Bangladesh side, you're like, hey, we're going to beat a team like West Indies. They have won in England before. This is going to be great. We scored 400 in the first innings. And then you have the West Indies turn it on in that second innings and are able to do the historic chase. I think it was the West Indies' second highest deficit chase that they had in that second innings, if I remember correctly. So that's really impressive. But you got to feel for Bangladesh because obviously they got some studs. We can notice they got some talent, but they haven't been able to put it together. If I look at the WTC standings, it's crazy, Mr. Gabe, because we got 4 teams that have above average or above 500 records. They have high percentages. You got Pakistan kind of right there in the middle, 4 wins and 5 losses. This is based off February 9th. But then the other teams, I mean, they're just struggling to get to 500. South Africa, 3 wins, 8 losses. West Indies, 2 wins, 6 losses. Sri Lanka, 1 win, 6 losses. Bangladesh, 0 wins, 4 losses. It's crazy how the top 4 are so lopsided compared to the bottom 5 through 9. Can West Indies, with what's going on right now, can they get a few matches together? And, maybe some experts would say they should be expected to beat Bangladesh because they're higher than them on the point standings. Don't sleep on Bangladesh. They got a pretty good squad. They just haven't had that many matches. But could they be in a position, in your opinion, where, this is not just a fluke, this is not just an anomaly, but West Indies can gain a whole lot of confidence from this series and move it forward when they're playing some of the big boys? What do you think?
I think that they can. I'll tell you another name that's kind of going under how big the performances were by Barner and by Mayers, right? But this cat De Silva, right? The wicketkeeper.
Yes.
I'm telling you, a lot of people, defense matters. One of the biggest knocks, and I still say it's an issue with your boy Pant, is his defense, okay? As a wicketkeeper, you got to have...
Easy.
I'm just saying, listen, the only reason Tim Payne has survived as long as he has is because he's regarded as a really good wicketkeeper, okay? His bat ain't keeping him in there, cousin. He's averaging, 25, 26? That's what his actual average is in tests. But you got to have that defense to go along with it. And he put up a 40 spot there. He's been very consistent. Huge. And again, we saw in those test matches earlier this year when we're talking about the other Dorich, right? It was Dorich that was the wicketkeeper. A lot of drops. Catches win matches, people. Catches win matches. And unless you're Pant, where you could go out there and just throw up 90 like it's nothing, cousin, you better make
the match at the Gabba.
Woo! You know what I'm saying? Unless you're Pant and you're putting up those kind of big numbers, you better catch everything. You know what I'm saying? You better be a wall back there. And I really like this kid, Joshua De Silva. I think it's a stepping stone. I definitely think it's a stepping stone. And if anything, this latest, England went in there and did what nobody thought they were going to do, right? And beat India at home, right? Guess what? I'm sorry, my West Indies beat England at home. That was a rootless. You like that how I said that? That was a rootless England team, okay? Somebody was, Jamie Alter, he was like, for Pete's sake, just go ahead and give Joe Root knighthood already. I was laughing when I saw that comment. But that was without Joe Root, right? That was Ben Stokes as captain. But the point is that there's a lot more parity in cricket than people would let on to believe. And I truly believe that because if I look at this now and say, you know what? My boys were able to bang with England at home in England. England was just able to bang with India. Just a couple changes, man. Just a couple changes here and there. Again, we almost drew out that second match if it wasn't for Stuart Broad, heathen. Now he's probably a really nice person in real life, but Stuart Broad, 3 wickets and 14 balls. Oh, that still gives me nightmares.
Can you imagine if they would have won that match and they would have won that series in England? Dude. That's insane, right? Now, last thing I want to say, because me and Gabe gave ourselves a time limit, and we're in that time limit right now. Last thing I want to say is I want to throw a little bit of love to Bangladesh because this guy, I don't know this guy at all, but I look at the numbers. Mahidi Hassan, right? This guy not only got himself a century in the first innings of this first test match with a 103, but he also can bowl, right? This guy got himself 4 wickets in the first inning as a bowler, and he got himself, 4 more in the second inning. So this guy, I mean, he did everything he could. There was another century in the second innings for Bangladesh, and that second century was by Mamino. But again, Bangladesh, I think they're still, taking a year off almost of cricket is going to hurt anybody. So they're still trying to fill themselves out, but they are not a walk-on squad, in my opinion, meaning they're not an easy team to beat, but they have some great performances. But ladies and gentlemen, let us know what your thoughts are about West Indies. Do you feel like they are on the rise? Do you feel like, the other big boys squad should be a little nervous when West Indies comes? Because I think they should. Sounds like Gabe thinks they should. We're not going to get too far ahead of ourselves, but this has been a great series if you're a West Indies fan against Bangladesh. Let us know your thoughts. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time.
That's 6 runs.